Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
As Obama and his United Nations-directed stooges move to divide the United States and override the U.S. Constitution in order to federalize police under the Strong Cities Network in an aggressive bid to foment martial law, Europe is reaching the boiling point. Paul Joseph Watson writes, "The head of French police recently warned that the country is on the verge of a civil war that could be triggered by another mass sexual assault of women by migrants like the one that occurred in Cologne on New Year's Eve." Patrick Calvar, who is the head of the Directorate General of Internal Security, told members of a French parliamentary commission, "We are on the brink of civil war." Calvar said that the situation in France is so potentially explosive that one more major Islamist terror attack or mass migrant sexual assault could lead to a massive right-wing backlash. Calvar says, "This confrontation, I think, will take place. Even one or two attacks and it will happen. It therefore behooves us to anticipate and block all these groups." Hundreds of German women were sexually abused during a series of attacks in Cologne on December 31st, a situation that eyewitnesses described as being akin to a war zone. Most of the culprits, who were largely comprised of Arab and North African asylum seekers and immigrants, were never charged for the outrage. Two of the men who were part of the mass frenzy of sexual assaults recently received suspended sentences. Pictures show them cheering and celebrating outside of court. And most recently, reports of a rash of molestations and rapes at 2 music festivals in Sweden. The New York Times reports, the police said there had been 5 reports of rape and 12 reports of sexual molestation at the Bravalla Festival in Norrköping, about 100 miles southwest of Stockholm, while 32 sexual assaults had been reported at Puttierparken, a music festival in Karlstad, about 190 miles west of Stockholm. "We're gutted by these hideous reports," the British rock band Mumford & Sons, one of the headline acts at the Bravalla Festival, said in a Facebook post. They continued, "We won't play at this festival again until we've had assurances from the police and organizers that they're doing something to combat what appears to be a disgustingly high rate of reported sexual violence." Calvar's warning has been echoed by numerous other prominent police, army, and security experts throughout Europe. Back in May, former MI6 head Richard Dearlove cautioned that Europe faces a populist uprising if its governments fail to take control of the migrant crisis.
For the EU, however, to offer visa-free access to 75 million Turks to stem the flow of migrants across the Aegean seems perverse, like storing gasoline next to the fire we're trying to extinguish.
Top security experts in Germany told Chancellor Angela Merkel last October that the middle class was becoming radicalized as a result of her open borders migrant policy and that domestic disorder could ensue as a result. French security forces are also preparing for mass civil unrest and radicalized immigrants taking over entire neighborhoods, according to intelligence sources. Last year, Swiss Army Chief André Blattmann warned that the risk of social unrest in Europe was intensifying and that citizens should arm themselves. Zero Hedge reported, "The situation is growing increasingly risky," Blattmann begins. "The threat of terror is rising. Hybrid wars are being fought around the globe. The economic outlook is gloomy, and the resulting migration flows of displaced persons and refugees have assumed unforeseen dimensions." Danish professor Nyborg wrote in 2016, "The current immigration policy gives us 3 alternatives: submission, repatriation, or civil war. Unless Europe starts to lead a responsible family, immigration, and integration policy stated by the theory of evolution, I think civil war is most likely." Truly, the will of the people is the only force that can drive back this social engineered invasion that common Europeans have come to gradually recognize for what it truly is, a hydra. Europe is under a growing hydra, as it is known in the Muslim world, an Islamic conquest where Muslims overwhelm a country's population by flooding it with refugees. Nothing more, nothing less. John Bound for Infowars.com.
Brain force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of brain force.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're going to crash and going to feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.